Chapter 24 Full Circle. Upon agreeing to take William's hand, the couple agrees to say their I do's the following summer on Saturday, June 21st, 1738, exactly 1 year from the day of his proposal. Since joining the Bonners, William has been slowly building his nest egg, and as his savings has grown, so too have his dreams. Dreams that until now he has been waiting to pull the trigger on. And now the time has come. And for a man with lofty ideas, 1 year is a tight window. Nevertheless, with their wedding date set, he knows what he wants to do and is equally aware he has very little time in which to do it. While he adores the Bonners, he cannot in good conscience continue to live with his new bride and raise a family in a small cabin on their farm. This, however, does not pose a problem, for William is a forward thinker and has long been planning for this day, when the adventurous warrior hunter finally plants his roots and starts to build a legacy of his own. As a huntsman, he has scouted every inch of the valley surrounding Old Town, and as he shared with his betrothed on their first hunt, his heart has long been set on a parcel some 7 miles west of town. A wilderness so vast over rolling hill and dale in every direction, it stretches beyond what the eye can see for more than 1,000 acres. And save the local Indians, no man has explored this swath of Virginian soil more than he, through countless hours of riding, hiking, hunting, and daydreaming. And what he must do now is make that dream a reality and claim it for his own. But first, he puts pen to paper, sending word to family and friends, inviting them to join him for his wedding. Each letter of similar tone and message. 22nd day of June, 1737. Dearest Uncle, it has been many a year since last we saw each other. I can only hope and pray this letter finds you in good health and spirit. When you sent me into the world on that fateful day so many years ago, you sent me in search of me place and purpose, not knowing when, where, or how I would find what me spirits so desperately crave. And yet it was necessary, for when I left Pennsylvania, I were a wanting young man with an empty soul. And although I will be forever grateful for all you have sacrificed on me behalf, I knew to truly repay you, I needed to do right by our family name, to carry forward our heritage, traditions, and bloodline as passed down by our parents and their parents before them. After many years, aching miles, countless adventures, hardships, victories, and years of grueling work, I can in good faith and with clear conscience say, I believe I have become a man with whom our fathers would be proud. It is therefore with immense joy that I send word of me coming union with the lovely Miss Mary Elizabeth Bruce, daughter of Sir John Robert Bruce the First of Scotland. She is a wonderful woman, gentle and kind, with a brilliant mind and resonating spirit, as one might expect from a woman on the frontier. We are to be married in Old Town, Virginia on Saturday, June 21st of the coming year, and I would be honored by your attendance. Warmest regards, William Bruce Alban. For the last 8 years, William has endeared himself to the people of Old Town, making countless friends while establishing strong, loyal relationships. And he will need all the help he can get as he strives to achieve his lofty goals. Since their first kiss, William has been preparing for the day he claims his slice of heaven. Operating under the assumption his efforts to secure the land will succeed, he plants seeds with his clients and friends, offering deferred payments for his meat, fur, and carpentry services to new clients or those strapped for cash. Tapping into those resources, he creates opportunities where they did not previously exist, enabling him to build his clientele, earn money now, and collect on it later, much of which will come in the form of livestock, household goods, and/or physical labor, but this will all be for naught if he fails to secure his dreamland. The week following his proposal, he rides out to visit with the land's owners. Who else but Skiagunsta and his old Shawnee friends. With no introductions required, William is escorted to the tribal elders, with whom he expresses his interest in purchasing the land. To his relief, the elders are all too happy to see him, of all white men, become steward of that beautiful stretch of Virginia soil, the price for which includes 10 muskets, 10 pounds of balls, a cask of gunpowder, and 4 jugs of McGregor's brew, a price our warrior hunter is all too happy to pay. Alban family parcel, 7 miles west of Old Town, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia colony. A few weeks later, an early Sunday morning in July, 1737. With his nirvana finally secured, he leaps into the long and arduous task of clearing a massive building pad for his cabin, barn, and outbuildings, all of which are necessary for a successful homestead. Although he will need to harvest a substantial amount of timber, his first priority is clearing the pad. As such, the day after delivering payment and closing the deal, William rides out to his parcel before dawn and gets to chopping, clearing the pad of its plethora of trees. He is wielding his axe when several wagons and a handful of riders pull up. Stopping mid-swing, he looks up to see who it is. Resting the axe on his shoulder, he straightens and grins. "Shouldn't you lads be in church?" As they dismount, Baby shouts, "No today, lad. Today we've been given a pass." William rolls his eyes. "Aha! A pass, you say?" "Aye," Sir John says, climbing from his wagon. "So, this pass you speak of, were it from God or your wives?" Baby chuckles. "What's the difference?" Grabbing an axe from the bed of his wagon, Sir John hollers, "Right you are, Baby. But he'll find out about that soon enough. But honestly, young squire, all we had to do were tell our wives we were coming here to help you. So trust me when I say it were an easy sale." "Indeed it were, John Robert," Doc says as he walks up. Several of the men nod their heads in agreement, laughing as they come together in a group. Stepping forward, Master Carpenter Geoffrey Dean chimes in. "All right, lad, we're here. So what say we cut the chit-chat, and you tell me what we're doing so I can get this band of potlickers to work." As the men chuckle, William buries his axe in a stump and turns to them, removing his broad brim and scratching his head. "All right, gents, follow me and I'll show you what I'm thinking." Walking the men around the heavily wooded site, he lays out his vision, pointing out where each of the structures will be and enabling the men to see the boundaries of the pad so they know what trees need to be removed. "So, what do you think, Geoffrey?" "I think we need to get jacking." Like a general, he turns to the men. "All right, lads, you ken the dance. Grab your saws and axes and let's get to it." And get to it they do. Even then, it takes a month of Sundays to thoroughly clear the massive site and prepare its harvest of timbers. With each section they clear, they stake out where each of the structures will be placed, while staking off a staging area for storing and preparing the harvested lumber. With the site finally ready, he gets to logging. As the months progress, William invests every minute of his spare time and a whole lot of Sundays with friends harvesting and preparing the more than 150 poplars needed for building his new spread, all of which is harvested from his own land. And before the fall equinox, they successfully lay out the base timbers for the massive 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1.5-story lofted timber frame cabin. This is key because it enables work to continue through the fall and winter when the colder, sometimes frozen timbers are surprisingly easier to hew. Over the last many years, William is involved with countless construction projects, some of them as a volunteer and others for a wage, all of which afforded him an opportunity to hone his skills and learn newer, better techniques. Over the years, he has mastered the art of building hand-hewn timber frame structures. As such, the logs of his new cabin will be hand-hewn into beautiful, solid, sturdy beams, which are then stacked as with his first cabin. For the other buildings, he will build with mortise and tenon joints held together by hand-carved pegs like the ones used on the Bonner barn. The process will be more labor-intensive and take longer, but the quality of the build will be far better and longer lasting. While progress is being made on his land improvements, William has still yet to receive any response to his letters. Granted, the last time he heard from his family was 6 years ago when he received word of his uncle's passing. So, not receiving any response has him drifting from whether they will come to whether they are all still alive and well. Nevertheless, there is still much to be done, so as the months roll off the calendar, he presses onward. With Christmas approaching, William wants to wrap up construction before the snow gets deep. So he finally pulls the trigger on his markers his indebted friends are all too happy to pay. With their help, they put the finishing touches on his cabin, outhouse, meat and smokehouses, corral, and chicken coop, leaving only the barn to be built in the spring. And still, he has yet to receive a response to his letters. Bonner Family Farm, just outside of Old Town, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony. Late evening, 2 days before Christmas. Monday, December 23rd, 1737. Spotting a light in the barn, Berta goes out to see if it is William returning home after a long day. As she opens the door, she spies a deer hanging from the rafter beam, and William skinning it by the light of a lanthorn. "Well, hello, stranger." William turns to her. "Evening, Miss Berta." "What on earth are you doing, carving up that beast at this hour? You should be sleeping." "Still carving?" "Aye, and although I'm pure done in, I've an order needs filling and I need to get it done. I can't let me business obligations slip on account I'm building a homestead. That would ruin everything I've been working so hard for." "I understand you're working hard, I do, but I've been waiting all day for you to come home. Do an old girl a kindness and take a rest. I've something to show you," she says, reaching into a pocket. When William turns around, Berta is smiling from ear to ear, holding out a letter. "This arrived early this morning, and I've been aching for you to open it." Giddily, she adds, "It's from Pennsylvania." William's eyes grow big, and he excitedly wipes his hands and brow before taking it from her. He gives her a quick glance, then tears it open. Copying a squat on a bench, he starts to read. Berta joins him on the bench, anxiously awaiting to hear the contents of the letter. He smiles, then turns his eyes to the letter. "Dearest William, it was so very good to hear from you. Allow me to begin by saying it pleases me heart to know you're happy and thriving, and even more elated to hear of your pending nuptials. It warms me spirit knowing you have found someone who fills your heart with such joy. Whom better to share your life with? By all accounts, she is a fine woman, worthy of partnering with a successful frontiersman, of which you have no doubt become. I can only say, I am certain your parents would be most proud of their eldest son. Knowing you may endeavor to carry our proud name into the future is of great comfort to me, as I and your brother James have failed to do so. Sadly, fathering is not the blessing of all men, but the good Lord has put it in me spirit that you, nephew, will do so in abundance. That said, it is with great regret that I will be unable to attend that oh so glorious occasion. For while I remain sound of mind, me age and bones preclude me from venturing on such a long and exhausting journey. Unfortunately, I fear me great days of travel were spent long ago on the high seas with you and your beloved siblings. Nevertheless, it has by all accounts proven itself a journey worthy of enduring. for as a result our proud line will perish not. Rather, it shall live on through you and your beloved Mary, as I am confident the good Lord will bless you with many sons. Although unable to attend, I would very much like to be there in spirit. As such, just as I did for your Aunt Mary, I would consider it an honor to serve as your official tailor, and adorn you and your beloved in the finest of apparel as you stand together before God. Please provide me the required measurements with which I may fashion for you garments worthy of King George himself. Make haste, dear nephew, so that I may ensure delivery in advance of your special day. All me love and best wishes, James Alban, Jr., Yeoman. Tears rolling down his face, he stares at his uncle's letter. Although delighted to hear from him, he is disappointed he will be unable to attend his wedding. He had desperately hoped to see him again after so many years. Nevertheless, the thought of him being there in spirit by way of his finely crafted garments warms William's heart, for he is all too familiar with his uncle's exceptional craftsmanship. But if this is to happen, he knows he must quickly obtain Mary's measurements and dispatch them back to his uncle straight away. As his hands fall to his lap, Berta asks, "So, who's it from? What did it say? Whoever 'tis, are they comin'?" William turns to her. "'Tis from me Uncle James. He says he canna come, but hopes to be here in spirit." "In spirit? What is he, a bloody ghost?" He giggles. "Nay, actually, he's a highly skilled tailor for them what can afford him." "A tailor, you say?" "Aye, he fashions clothing for the well-to-do and affluent members of Philadelphia society. And since he canna be here, he wants the honor of crafting our wedding garments. So, I have to make haste." "Make haste?" He stands. "Aye, I need to go ask Mary her measurements so I can send 'em to me uncle." Shoving him back on the bench, she says, "No, if you want her to marry you." He gives her a puzzled look. "First, 'tis too bloody late. Second, no man asks a lady for her measurements and lives to tell about it. But," she gives him a motherly slap on his knee, "leave it to me, lad. I'll get what you need." The following day, Berta rides out to visit with Mary and her mother, during which she shares Uncle James' request, convincing them there was no one better suited for making her wedding dress than he. Although hesitant, knowing it will please William, they agree to leave the fate of Mary's wedding dress in Uncle James' capable hands, nearly 200 miles away. The day after Christmas, William sends the measurements to his uncle with a letter of thanks. Alban Family Parcel, 7 miles west of Old Town, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony, April 1738. As they have so many times before, with the arrival of more accommodating weather, the Old Towners gather once again. On this day, they will begin construction of the final building on William's farm, the glorious timber frame barn. Although its design is similar to that of the Bonners, William's barn will be larger and a little more difficult to build. In the end, however, it will be far more functional and pleasing to the eye. On the first day, 53 men labor for 11 hours until there is no longer daylight by which to work. Right back at it early the next morning, they labor for several more hours, hammering, chopping, lifting, hauling, and sweating. For 2 days, Jeffrey leads the build, guiding the Old Towners as they toil over the massive barn. "That's right, lads. That one goes all the way to the top. Careful of your backs, lads. Watch your hands there at the top. Steady. Good. Now, ease her down, lads." A worker up top shouts, "Persuade her!" Jeffrey peers at one of the massive mallets leaning against an upright beam, and a worker quickly snatches it up. With a hand at each end of the handle, he gives it a mighty heave, starting a trapeze-like chain of events that gracefully ends with the persuader in the hands of the man who needs it. A few hearty whacks later, he passes it to the man next to him. And so it goes for the rest of the day. Manly men doing manly work. The abundance of testosterone and sweaty man-funk, a deterrent to even the fiercest of beasts. On the 7th hour of the second day, the massive barn is finally complete. And a mammoth structure it is, standing several feet taller, wider, and longer than the Dean's huge barn. It is truly a sight to behold, and a project everyone is proud to be a part of. With his homestead finally complete, William calls in the remainder of his markers. These markers will be paid in the form of household goods, farming tools, and livestock to fill his cabin and barn. And in less than a year, he successfully lays the foundation for he and his new bride to build their legacy upon. After posting their banns at 3 consecutive church meetings, their long list of pre-wedding responsibilities is finally complete. All that remains now is the arrival of Uncle James's package. Bruce Family Farm, just outside of Old Town, near Redbud, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony. Noon on a late spring day, 1738. William is feeling good. To everyone's shock, he achieved all of his lofty goals and is now getting the farm up and running, filling his barn, corral, and chicken coop as livestock arrives, one marker after another. He is elated. Nevertheless, he finds himself stressing about matters out of his control. More specifically, the arrival of his uncle's package and the stress it is putting on his future mother-in-law and bride-to-be. Now, William, I understand it's your uncle we're talking about, but the hour is getting late. Should we no consider another dress, just in case? Miss Sarah, I understand your concern, but William, you can't expect me to no have a dress on our wedding day, Mary exclaims. Reaching across the table, he takes Mary's hand in his. Mare Bear, then peering at her mother, Miss Sarah, I understand your concern, and if I didn't ken me Uncle James, I'd be concerned too. But here's the thing. After that fire stole our family and our home, that man brought us together as a family and delivered us here to the colonies to start life anew. Uncle James ain't never let me down before, and I'm confident he ain't about to start now. So all I'm asking is have a little faith. Trust me, he'll come through like he always does. Fingers crossed, he hopes he has convinced Mary to have faith in his uncle and hold off on having another dress made. Surely, if the package fails to arrive in a timely fashion or not at all, Mary will not have time enough to find a suitable replacement. Nervously, she and her mother exchange a glance. Then Mary gives his hand a gentle squeeze and nods. "'Tis like Doc said the day we met. You've never let me down before, young squire, so me faith ye shall have." With a gentle squeeze of her hand, he gives her a grateful smile. "Thanks, Mare Bear. You'll no regret it." Although Mary pledged her faith, William knows she will continue to worry about the package until it finally arrives. And right now, things are not looking good. And as any man who has ever been married will tell you, not having a dress for your bride is not a good thing. The repercussions from which are already being felt as the absence of his uncle's package is souring the air around him. Stress, lofting about like smoke from a hayfire. Like most men, William could care less about what he wears. So far as he is concerned, he can be married in his buckskins. But his bride, on the other hand, is an entirely different story. Bonner Family Farm, just outside of Old Town, Shenandoah Valley, Virginia Colony. Midday, Wednesday, June 4th, 1738. William is off hunting when several packages arrive by courier from Pennsylvania. But with everyone on pins and needles awaiting their arrival, Berta knows full well what they are and that Mary has been dying for them to arrive. So rather than wait for William's return, she dispatches Bebe to deliver them to the Bruces straight away. Sarah is on the front porch spinning her wheel in the cool of the shade when Beebe's wagon rolls into the yard. As he nears the cabin, Mary's ears perk up to the familiar sound of wagon wheels and hooves. Curious, she steps outside and joins her mother on the porch to see who it is. Beebe pulls his wagon up to the cabin and brings his mule team to a halt. "Good day, ladies." "Aye, and you as well. So tell me, why are you gracing us with your presence?" Sarah asks. "Why, Miss Sarah, I come bearing gifts." "But, Beebe, you ken I'm a married woman." Beebe chuckles. "Forgive me, Miss Sarah. Allow me to clarify. I come bearing gifts for Mary." "Gifts for me?" Mary says excitedly. He smiles broadly. "Aye, from Pennsylvania." Mary screams, her pent-up stress manifesting itself in joyful elation. Then she turns to her mother and they scream together, each staring at each other wide-eyed, hands and arms flying excitedly about. Beebe points over his shoulder into the bed of his wagon. "There they are, ladies. If you'll forgive me aching back, I'll ask you to help yourselves." They exchange a quick glance, then leap from the porch and scurry over to retrieve the packages. Boxes in hand, they hurry them into the cabin like a couple of excited schoolgirls, the cabin door slamming shut after they enter. Beebe stares at the empty porch. "If that be all, ladies, I'll be on me way." As he mushes away, a pair of voices call from inside the cabin. "Thank you!" As they turn to the boxes, a new concern enters Mary's thoughts. Will the garments fit? As quickly as she and her mother are able, they open the packages and remove the finely tailored garments. To their stunned delight, they reveal the most beautiful dress either has ever laid eyes upon. It is magnificent, far beyond their wildest dreams or expectations. As Sarah lifts the faint white, almost champagne-colored gown from the large box, it unfurls. Cascading to the floor, a beautiful brocade bodice is revealed, featuring an empire waist with a hemline trimmed in white lace, with thin layers of the delicate lace encompassing the fine champagne-colored fabric from head to toe. A 1.5-inch silk champagne ribbon gracefully falling down the length of the front of the gown. As promised, Uncle James created a gown worthy of royalty. Awestruck, Sarah gazes at the dress. "Lord Almighty!" Mary covers her mouth with both hands and her eyes tear up. "'Tis beautiful!" Regrouping, she opens the second package to find a pair of matching princess shoes and a fine pair of white silk stockings. She lets her fingers glide over the silk. "Feel how soft they are! I've never felt anything like it." Sarah reaches out to feel. "Oh, 'tis so blissfully soft! I've never felt anything like it either." As always, Uncle James Jr. came through. The skills displayed in Mary's gown of the highest levels of skill and artistry. As per his wish, Uncle James' presents at their wedding will be on full display and in grand measure. Although giddy as a girl on Christmas morning, she is still nervous about whether the items will fit. Quelling her fears, Sarah chides. "Well, dinna stand there. Try 'em on." Quicker than you can shake a stick, Mary strips down to her undergarments. With help from her mother, she carefully slips into the gown, fussing with every detail along the way, carefully adjusting here and there as they go. They are shocked. The fit could not be more perfect, proving yet again James Jr.'s mastery of his craft. After fussing with all the adjustments, Sarah steps away, silently viewing her beautiful daughter. A tear comes to her right eye, and she wipes it away. Standing before a full-length mirror, Mary gazes at herself, admiring the amazing gown. Tears rolling down their cheeks, Sarah and her daughter share a joyful cry, embracing as they cry on each other's shoulders. Sarah steps away again. "Never in all me days have I seen so stunning a bride." Mary smiles warmly, joyful and proud. Sarah professes, "To tell you true, dear, You look as if a queen." Mary is still gazing into the mirror. "I must say, William's uncle has truly outdone himself." Hands over her mouth in awe and tears welling in her eyes, Sarah replies, "Of that there can be no doubt. The man has indeed outdone himself." "I never could have imagined a dress so fair." "Nor I, dear, nor I," Sarah breathes. "William will be hard-pressed to turn his eyes from you. He may trip and fall for not watching his step." "It truly is that beautiful," Mary fawns. Sarah smiles. "No, dear, 'tis you that's beautiful." Gazing into the mirror, hand over heart, Mary turns to her mother with a raised right brow. "Perhaps I should take it off. I dinna wish to sully it." With help from her mother, she carefully removes the gown, hanging it in her mother's armoire for safekeeping until the big day. After tucking away Mary's garments, Sarah charges her husband with transporting William's packages to his new homestead. Since taking delivery of his livestock and chickens, he has been spending more and more time there. When Sir John rolls into the yard, William is standing beside the barn brushing JJ's coat. When he spots the wagon, he stops brushing and waves. "Well, good afternoon, Sir John."
"Good indeed, young squire. I brought you gifts."
"Gifts?"
"Aye, from Pennsylvania."
William pumps a fist in the air. "Uncle James is reliable as ever."
Sir John barks. "Aye, but dinna stand there crowing. Get over here and gi'e a hand."
William runs over and reaches into the back of the wagon, grabbing a box. "Lord Almighty! I see why you were crying for help. These are so heavy."
"You ken it's no too late to change me mind," Sir John barks as they carry the packages into the cabin.
Resting them on the table, he chides.
"Well, dinna stand there. Let's open 'em and have a look."
"Aye, but first, what of Mary's dress?"
"No to worry, young squire. By the glowing smiles on she and her mother's faces, I'd say your uncle dinna disappoint. Now, stop worrying about her and open these bloody things."
Opening the largest package first, William reveals a fine, carefully folded, champagne-colored, knee-length, collarless wool frock, with 1-inch champagne buttons running from the collar to the waist. There are flapped pockets on both sides of the front, with double-cuff sleeves ornately adorned with buttons and a silk lining and a matching champagne.
"Well, have a look at that. That's as fine a coat as ever I've seen," Sir John breathes.
William sighs. "Unbelievable." Admiring the handsome coat, Sir John happens to glance into the box, spying a tiny silk pouch. Curious, he reaches down and picks it up.
"And what's this?"
William turns to him, squinting. "I dinna ken." As he steps forward, Sir John hands it to him. Opening it, he lets the contents fall into his palm. As it comes into focus, he is overcome with emotion and collapses to a knee. He stares at it for a moment, then clasps his hand into a fist, bringing it to his lips. Kissing his clenched fist, he starts to weep, tears falling heavily from his eyes. Sir John gasps,
"What's wrong, young squire?"
But William is without words, for lying in his hand is a simple yet elegant gold band upon which 2 tiny gold hands are perched, each hand holding the other, bookended by 2 delicate gold flowers. Clasping it in his fingers, he brings it to his mouth, kissing it lovingly. Looking up, he hands it to Sir John. Gazing at it, he breathes,
"'Tis beautiful."
Weeping, William nods, wiping away his tears. Confused, Sir John places a hand on his shoulder and asks, "What is it, lad? What's ailing you?" Tearfully he replies, "Nothing, nothing at all."
"Then why are you crying?
"I've never seen you weep so hard." "'Tis just, I canna believe it. 'Tis me mother's ring, and me grandmother's and great-grandmother's before her. I thought it were lost in the fire."
"You mean the one that took your family?"
As memories of his mother come flooding back, "Aye, Uncle James, he must have found it. Until now, I thought it were lost forever.
The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. And no always in that order, young squire.
Wiping the tears from his eyes, William stands staring at the ring. Uncle James, you are truly amazing. He turns to Sir John. Words can't say what this means to me. And when I place this ring upon Mary's finger, I'll no just be giving her a ring, but a piece of me family. Sir John smiles warmly.
'Tis a fine thing, young squire, especially when she learns who it belonged to. Fair to say, that Uncle James of yours is full of surprises. What say we see what else he's put in these boxes?
Placing the ring back in the pouch, William sets it in a dish on the mantel above the fireplace. Heart swollen, he turns back to the boxes, removing an equally handsome waistcoat of a slightly lighter shade of champagne. It features 6 matching 3/4-inch buttons down the front, matching the frock with flap-covered pockets of his own. Opening the next box, he reveals a colorless white linen shirt adorned with ruffles at the wrists and from the neck down the center to just past the breast. Holding his chin, Sir John nods, lip curled.
Pretty fancy.
William nods, then opens the next box. Inside is a pair of knee-length, champagne-colored breeches matching the waistcoat. Laying on top of them is a ruffled, white cotton cravat. With all the pieces laying before them, he and Sir John stand wide-eyed and stunned.
I tell you true, young squire, never have I seen so fine a suit.
Nor have I, but I am no surprised. Me uncle is the finest of tailors. I mean, I can only imagine what he's fashioned for Mary.
Well, I guess you're just going to have to wait to find out. Now, open the others.
William opens the next package, revealing a beautiful beaver felt tricorn, black and trimmed in champagne embroidery around the edges of the brim. William holds it up to take a closer look.
Sir John muses. Would you look at that? 'Tis so fancy. Perhaps you should be running for office.
If it's just the same to you, I'll pass, he says, placing the hat on, checking the fit.
Looking good, young squire.
William chuckles and places it back in the box. Inside the last package, he finds a shiny new pair of black leather shoes, each with 1-inch heels, finely finished with a shiny brass buckle centered neatly on the top. Rolled up on the inside of each shoe is a fine pair of woven white cotton knee-high stockings.
Sir John barks. Dinna stand there. Try it on.
In a flash, William whips off his buckskins and tries on his fancy new suit. When dressed, he hurries into the bedroom where he has placed a full-length mirror in the corner for Mary. Sir John follows him in. For a moment, they stand there in silence. William staring at his reflection, and Sir John staring at him.
I must say, you clean up pretty good, young squire. Must be your Scottish blood.
Coming from an old Scottish fart such as yourself, I'll take that as a compliment, Sir John. Together they share a laugh. Catching their breath, Sir John places a hand on William's shoulder.
All kidding aside, young squire, if your folks were here today, I ken they'd be mighty proud.
William turns from the mirror with a closed-mouthed smile. Patting a hand over his heart, he says, But they are, Sir John, because they're always right here. Sir John squeezes his shoulder with a gentle shake and a pat.
Indeed, young squire.